Welcome to the Society of Cryptid Hunters podcast. Josh and David, just two regular guys with a passion and interest in our unknown and unexplained hidden world. This show delves into the latest sightings, theories, research, and stories in the field of cryptozoology. If you enjoy the show and don't want to miss an episode, please give them a follow and leave them a comment. Let's embark on this journey together and keep an open mind as we explore the mysterious world of cryptids.
All right. Hi, Josh. It's been a while.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's usually on schedule for us, I feel. So we're good. We're good.
So I hear you just did a little journey to a place called Ohio.
Well, that, sir, was the destination. We did drive from Texas, Dallas area to Ohio, northwest Ohio, specifically. So that would be driving through multiple states to get there. So yeah. But the majority of the time was in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna release this episode on the 4th of July, to honor America, and the 56 people that committed treason, and the penalty was death. But what are we doing today, Josh?
What are we doing today? What?
We're doing one of my favorite topics that I found out about a year ago. And how many cryptids are in Ohio?
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of my favorite cryptids, because I just think he's just cool.
He's
Who is
chill.
he?
The Loveland Frogman.
Exactly. Fun
So we're
guy.
getting out. So we're getting out of the fantastical creatures for this episode, going back to the more modern type cryptids that are out there that you may or may not have known. To be
We're
honest,
staying
living
in
in
America.
America, but to be honest, living in Ohio, well, almost half my life now. I guess I've been doing the math. I'm almost halfway of my life out of Ohio, which is crazy to even think that already.
Oh
But
wow.
but born and raised in Ohio, growing up, never heard of the Loveland Frogman at all.
That's a great
Never.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy because people from bigger states like Texas or California or wherever, they're huge states, so it takes forever in a day or two to get through them when you drive through. Ohio, you can get pretty much through it in like 3.5, 4 hours, no problem. So, but people don't realize the differences between sections of Ohio and how different people really are, even just
It's the
so far
seventh
apart.
most populous state, by the way,
Yeah, yeah. It's got
which is actually pretty big.
three major city, metropolitan areas, and but yeah, I mean it's pretty sparse. Pretty people are pretty diverse. Southern Ohio is way different than Northern Ohio by a long shot. East is different than West. It's crazy. So when you don't hear about stories like the Frogman, like you're from Ohio, you didn't hear this one, and you're in the cryptids. Sorry, just didn't. They never heard of it till recently, and we started digging into it. And here we are. We're going to talk about this wonderful cryptid that we discovered.
And you wanted to talk about other cryptids in Ohio because there's so many.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But like we do with a lot of our shows, it's always good to kind of talk about the history of our cryptids. Then we'll dig into there's a little bit of pulp culture of the frogman, which I discovered, which is
A
interesting.
little
It's also
bit.
found in some books. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
All
But
right, why
yeah,
don't you take it away, Josh? Since
sure.
you are
Well,
the resident Ohio expert.
former resident Ohio. I'll say Ohio native. We'll do that.
Okay, when I say resident Ohio expert, I don't mean you're a resident of Ohio. I mean you know a lot about Ohio, and you were just actually there, and I have never actually
True.
been to Ohio. So
Okay,
therefore,
well,
you know way more
I guess
about
compared to you,
Ohio.
I would be the resident expert.
There we go.
There you
Yes.
go. Fair enough, fair enough. So the Loveland Frogman, it's also known as the Loveland Lizard, I discovered. Uh, I guess he's a legendary creature from Ohio and within the folklore of Ohio and cryptids. It's the southern Ohio area, but south southwest. So I guess more or less, I think it was just north of Cincinnati area, but more south of Dayton. So if you go along the I-75 corridor area, it's going to be in that section. So if you pull up a
I
map
wrote a
and look
bunch of
at it,
those cities down, but I've never been to Ohio, so it means nothing to me.
yeah, yeah. So 75 pretty much runs all the way from north to south of the country, ends in the Keys in Florida, but it also goes all the way up into ends in up in Michigan, so up in Canada area. So goes the way through. But off that area in between Cincinnati and Dayton, there's Loveland, Ohio. But the Frogman has been this. Oh,
Sorry.
somebody's. Do you have a frog in your throat?
Oh, sorry. Wow. I apologize.
You must have a frog in your throat.
Wow, that was real fitting.
Hey. Anyway, so it's described as a humanoid frog standing about 4 feet tall. First reported sighting was in 1955 by a businessman who claimed to see three frog-like creatures on the side of the road. Typical cryptid. Driving along, I see something weird. This guy sees a 4 foot tall frog. Well, three of them actually, which is interesting to say the least. I don't know what I would do, but the legend gained more attention in 1972 when a Loveland police officer reported seeing a similar creature. So we have a police officer now seeing this thing, which adds a little more credibility to the sightings, if you will. Whenever you have a person of authority in most instances, it becomes a bigger issue because they've seen it and they should be held to more of a higher standard with credibility, and thus the story becomes, is this thing real? That's the thing. But another officer later claimed that the creature was actually a large iguana that may have been just missing his tail. So I don't know how you get a 4 foot tall iguana because I know they don't walk on their hind legs. I mean, I've seen them. Okay, I have seen them in the videos of the Galapagos Islands where they start running, and they're like
I
hind
was,
legs. Have you seen this? Have you seen that?
mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so but where are those in Ohio?
So that's what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
So, the first one, in 1955, the businessman that saw them under the bridge, he saw three of them, and the report that I read said that he saw them just down there feeling the vibe, um, just basically just chilling. And he
Just
um
chilling.
he went on to say that they didn't have pants and they were like 4 feet tall. Um, which he's a traveling salesman, and I think it was a so the one of the things you sent me was businessman. The thing I read it was said it was a salesman. It doesn't it's about the
Probably the
same thing
same.
anyway.
I mean, yeah.
So the 1972 one, the first cop he saw it. He saw the cryptid. Um, and the second cop that he shot it.
Oh,
He went out there. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go check this out, and he went out
what a
there.
human thing to do.
Exactly, and what an American thing to
Shoot
do
it.
because that's American. Oh, I'm gonna find this thing and I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah.
Which I wanted
Shoot
to
it.
get into, which is what I always get into, is where are the bones? Well, that's part of this episode. We're gonna get into that right now because he takes this animal after he shoots it to his other friend, who happens to be that police officer, and he was like, "Is this Loveland frogman that we speak of?" And he's like, "Yes, in fact, it is. However, that looks like a iguana without its tail."
Hmm.
So the local people apparently the local people, and again, I'll bring up where this is. I don't know where it is, because again, I'm not from. It's called like Branch Hill. Do you know where that is?
No, it's Southern Ohio, so it could
Okay.
be anything down there.
Well, I
I know
guess
it's south of Dayton. It's somewhere that part of the area.
okay. Well, so
Southwest.
the two
South
cops
southwest.
came together, and they're like, I think that this was a. They think it was an iguana that somebody has in a pet has at home as a pet. Because like you said, where are these iguanas in Ohio? Well, somebody
Yeah.
they think that somebody had it as a pet, and then it got too big at home,
Oh, just let it go.
and
Yeah.
then the other idea is that that it got too big and they let it go, and it was hanging out under this actual bridge and that bridge had like these pipes that were warm, and it needed to be around
Well, heat. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, heat. So that helped it stay in that its size, and it was, just a really
Just kept
big
getting
iguana.
bigger. Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess maybe that does make sense. Like, as you being somebody from Ohio, if you saw a giant, reptilian thing, you'd be like, where did this thing come from? So maybe that
Yeah.
makes a little thing. More that I read, it was saying that area at that time or whatever, I don't know, in these back roads at that area that they weren't very lit. So maybe they were seeing shadows and maybe the shadows were messing with them or
And they could have made it
um,
look bigger too. But yeah,
and
I mean,
I was
who
gonna
knows?
say, um, Josh, I was out squashing in the daytime very recently, last weekend, and I was walking down uh, the Pacific Northwest beach, and all of a sudden it was about noon. I saw something crawling towards the water, and out of the corner of my eye, I was like, "What is that thing?" And it honestly looked. I'm telling you, Josh, it looked not real. And my eyes deceived myself because 'cause I'm this Texas boy, I was like, "What is that?" I've never been close to the ocean, right? And I
Mhm.
look over, and I see this thing crawling to the ocean on all fours, like, about to go into the water, and it literally looked like something out of a movie, and I got a little closer. I'm pretty sure it was an otter,
Oh,
and,
okay.
I'd never seen one outside of a zoo,
Yeah.
and I got closer, and it would, like when those otters, by the way, I know this is completely off the subject, the fact it's in water, but when they're in water, it looks like a log. Really
Yeah.
weird when their heads just, like, hanging out there.
Hmm.
My point is, like, if you don't know and if you've never seen this certain animal, your mind plays tricks with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, and for people that don't know out there, squashing is when you're looking for Bigfoot. Or
Oh,
in Josh's, neck of the woods in Ohio, it's called the grass man. That we'll get into in a little bit.
a little. I mean, a little, but a little bit more just to capture how the Frogman captured the imagination of people back then. There was more characteristics that were unusual, and I'll go over them before we go over some other sightings that I have listed. But it did have a humanoid appearance. Unlike typical frogs, the Loveland Frogman is described as walking on two legs like a human, standing at 4 feet tall. It had leathery skin. So witnesses often describe this creature as having leathery skin, which is quite different from smooth, like most amphibians. Which, if you look at an iguana, its skin is leathery. So there you go.
Mm,
Just think about that. A bigger one too. Just look up old like pictures of large iguanas. I mean now 1970 or I'm sorry 1955 or 72 no 72 when that one happened. They didn't have Google search to pull up photos. So
mhm, mhm.
but you can look at it now and be like, oh wow, yeah, that's leathery looking skin. They're not iguanas are not smooth. They had glowing eyes. Some reports mention that frogmen had glowing or reflective eyes, adding to this eerie and mysterious appearance. Most animals do have those kind of eyes that are reflective,
Like
notably
cats.
cats. Yeah.
Mhm.
Another very interesting one was some people claim that they carry a magical wand, which is, I
Mm.
thought, interesting. One of the
By
most
the way, I
unusual
hate Harry
aspects.
Potter.
One of the most unusual aspects of the legend is the claim that one of the frogmen was seen holding a wand that was emitting sparks and that kind of suggested some form of magical ability. And the last thing that I had was they had a very distinct smell to them. The 1955 creature recorded the report was of a bizarre smell, almost like almonds and alfalfa. Not sure what alfalfa smells like. Almonds I can nail, but
So almonds,
alfalfa.
is supposed to be what arsenic smells like,
Ah,
by the way.
interesting.
And then what did you say the other one was? Alfalfa?
Alfalfa.
Like what they feed the like
Yes.
oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So those were the unusual characteristics that were brought up. But so we had the 1955 reported sighting, and then that was was the businessman who claimed to see the three frog-like creatures on the side of the road near the Little Miami River. 1972, so year two with two significant sightings. March of that year, Loveland police officer reported seeing an unidentified animal described as a humanoid frog. 2 weeks later, another officer saw it, shot it. There you go. I do have that note. And then identified it later as a large iguana missing its tail. So that was that instance. And then the most recent was in 2016. This this actually occurred while a man was playing Pokemon Go. Reported seeing a
Which
frog-like
swept the
creature.
nation when it came out.
Yep, seeing a frog-like creature on Loveland Madeira Road, and there was a video accompanied with it, but though it's widely considered just a hoax. So don't know. There's not a whole lot of sightings. There is a lot of folklore and shared stories of the Loveland Frogman in that area. They do hold of they do have a lot of merchandise, and they do hold frogman events in the area. So it does bring a little bit of tourism dollars to that area.
Are you going to talk
Um,
about the local actual uh media that happens to go with the Loveland Frog, like the musical?
there's a musical.
There is a musical. Yeah,
Uh,
and the musical.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I haven't got to pop culture yet,
Oh,
so
okay. Well, then we'll wait for pop
I know
culture.
that you
Excuse
like
me.
to jump around all over the place, which is
Yeah,
fine.
I'm kind of a
But
scatterbrain. I
you're
apologize. Yeah,
jumpy.
keep
You're
going. I
jumpy like a
apologize.
frog today.
Oh, well, maybe that's the
Yeah,
subject
it's like
of
you want
the
to push in
story.
like an entire hour show in 10 minutes. It's like chill.
Oh, my apologies.
Not jumping all over the place, frog man.
Oh, which I wanted to I'm glad you brought up Frogman. Um I've been listening to several people talk about this actual story. And I do want to get it clarified that the term frogman um is a term that goes to the United States Navy SEALs. They call them frogmans, and specifically, most of them get a tattoo of a frog-looking man on them, um, and they refer to themselves as frogmen. I've heard, I was like I said, I was listening to other people talk about this subject, and they brought up frogmen, and one of them even said that they were like private eyes or like double o sevens. I was like, no, that's been the term for the seals for like
Yeah, yeah,
forever.
the frogman. Yeah,
Exactly, yeah, and they are very proud of it.
yeah, yeah. So, since the frogman continued to be a fascinating part of Ohio folklore, sparking curiosity and debate among both believers and the skeptics, it has made an impact on popular culture, especially in Ohio. We have some notable mentions here. One of books and literature. It inspired several books, including children's books, novels, explores the mysterious sightings, this and that. Musical and theater. Legend has even been adapted to a musical, as you said, showcasing the Frogman story through song and performance. Television and movies. This creature has appeared in various TV programs. Notably, American Dad has referenced the Loveland Frogman.
I've watched like
Uh,
one episode of that show, by the way.
yeah, so this is definitely brought up on there. The Mothman prophecies, although it's mostly about Mothman, and we have talked about Mothman
And we
before
have
on
talked about that. I was reading that, and I know we both have different opinions on the movie.
yeah. It includes references to other cryptids, including the Loveland Frogman. I had to look back and see what scene that was, but I'm pretty sure that was the scene where um, uh, Richard Gere's character goes and talks to John Keel, who wrote the book, and he brings up all the cryptids, and he says something about, and there's a frogman in Ohio or something. I have to look that one up, but if anybody's listening to this and you get to it before me and you hear this, shoot me a comment. Let me know where we're at in the movie that is, if I was right. Um, going by strict memory here. Discovery Channel also had Lovely and Frogman documentaries and
Hmm.
shows that explored cryptids and mysterious creatures. And there's one called the Encountering the Lovely Frog, a cryptid tale from Ohio, is on Discovery Channel. Um, and then in 2004, which is the year we're in, there was a movie that came out called Frogman. It's a found footage horror film talking about the Loveland Frogman, where friends are searching for the creature, and I guess it becomes a horror movie. So I haven't seen it. I just heard
I
about it reading through these.
I was looking that up, and I don't care. I love found footage movies, and I thought about buying it before this episode, but I didn't because I hate buying movies.
Uh,
Now I just stream them, which is crazy for me that to say that I hate buying movies because I
yeah.
love Blockbuster.
Another thing that the Loveland, Ohio town has embraced is the Frogman, and it made the city made it its official mascot. So Loveland's mascot is the Loveland Frog, which is great. I mean, that's a lot of what people with famous cryptids do in cities and towns. But it definitely just kept the legend alive. Is well known among residents and visitors. Brings in tourism dollars. Actually driving through, I actually thought about driving and stopping through there, but when you got two kids driving almost 18 hours, it's not normally a fun stop. So I don't know. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. But yeah. But Ohio is also known for. Oh, I sorry. I did have some book titles. If you're interested in looking for a book about the Frogman, I even have that. The Man from Primrose Lane by James Renner. It's a science fiction mystery novel. Has
Hold on
various.
before you say that. I'm gonna it took me a minute to do this. You just said
Oh,
that it was the official animal of that area,
mascot of the city.
mascot. I want everybody to Google the official animal of Scotland. Josh, do you know what this is? The official
Was it?
animal of Scotland?
Is it Nessie?
No, it's the unicorn. That's why I
Oh,
wanted to bring it up.
okay.
It's not like a dog or a cat. It's a unicorn.
Ah,
Anyway, my
I didn't
apologies.
know.
I thought that was relevant. I wanted you to go on.
Oh, yeah. Sounds great. Man from Primrose Lane, a science fiction mystery novel, includes a version of the Loveland Frogman, blending the legend to its intriguing plots. There's extraterrestrial encounters, the Loveland Frogman by Adam Leone. Book explores various cryptid encounters and includes the Frogman and other mysteries and stories surrounding it. The Strange Case of the Loveland Frogman, Ohio's amphibian cryptid. It's a detailed account of the Frogman, its sightings and places in Ohio folklore. So there's some books if you're interested in that. So we talked about Ohio and how it has some other cryptids that it's known for. And I think what's interesting was I really wanted to find stuff that was specific completely to Ohio. Now, Ohio does have like its, Bigfoot and things like that, sightings and this and there. I think every state has
Yes,
had a
man.
Bigfoot sighting. Um, but one of them is the grassman, which is compared to Bigfoot. Grassman is basically a large ape-like creature reported to inhabit the grasslands of Ohio. It's said to be about 7 to 10 feet tall with dark hair and a strong, unpleasant odor, which sounds like every other
Hmm.
bipedal.
Like we talked in our episodes, the skunk ape that's in Florida.
Yeah, yeah. So about the same kind of deal when it comes to these type of these cryptids. When it comes the Sasquatch, Yeti, all of them, very similar. Grassman, not we're not really sure where the grasslands of Ohio are. I'm guessing it's not anywhere where I'm from.
Is there a lot
But
of grass in Ohio? When I wanted to ask you this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there is. There's grass fields, and then south is more hills. Um, yeah, a little bit of everything, but it's pretty flat. But I mean, to be honest, I've never heard of the Grassman. I honestly, I'm gonna go through a list, and I've never heard of any of these except for one. Um, and that's the only
Which
one
one?
that's not. Well, we'll get to it, but that's the only one that's not predominantly Ohio. So,
Okay.
um, next was some of these are interesting. So I'm just going to go over these a little bit because these might end up being stuff that we do full episodes on at some point. So we're just
I
going to
was
touch
going to
base
ask
on them a
about
little
that.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just going to touch base on these a little bit. So if some of these pique your interest and you are from Ohio, maybe you know more about it, shoot us a note and we'd love to hear from you if you have information or where we can dig up more research on some of these. So the Minerva monster was first sighted in Minerva, Ohio, in 1978. It's described as a 7 foot tall, 300-pound hairy humanoid. Shares similarities with the grassman and Bigfoot. So there's another one. Um,
Which, by the way, the picture that I saw of it, it just looks like a really hairy Bigfoot, by the way.
yeah, yeah. So the next one is the cedar bog monster, which is similar in description to the grassman. This cryptid is said to lurk in the Cedar Bog Nature Preserve, and it was first reported in 1945 when an abandoned car investigation led to sightings of the creature. So there's apparently Ohio has very specific hairy humanoids that
Well, and I researched the bog monster, and every research I came up basically just showed me a picture of a Bigfoot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like we're naming specific Bigfoots. That might be an interesting take too, David, is how many states have specific named Bigfoots? You
Well,
know?
like in one of our first episodes, we talked about how there's so many different depictions of the Bigfoot, the
Yeah.
Yeti, the Wendigo,
Yeah.
the skunk ape. Um, there's so many, and then they're in different continents. which is
Yeah.
a whole other episode. If we just want, we could literally do like like several episodes just on different areas of Bigfoot sightings in and around the world, of
Yeah,
course.
for sure. For sure. I mean, it's just an interesting thought. It's like, oh, say there's like 4 Bigfoots living in Ohio and we named them all. Because I don't know. But anyway.
I mean, right now
Um,
we just named three, I think.
yeah. Yeah. And there's probably another one too. No. Anyway, there's one called Orange Eyes. Never heard of this one either. But it's a cryptid described as large humanoid figure with glowing orange eyes. Um,
What
it
do you
was
think?
seen.
Go
I,
ahead. Sorry.
I don't. I don't know where Charles Mill Lake is, but this is where it was seen in 1960. Um, I don't know if you have time to pull that up really quick, see where that was at.
No, I'm looking at it, and it just looks like this weird little creature with, or like just a
Orange.
little like bipedal creature with orange eyes. Like it was not descriptive at all.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no like actual looking picture of it.
So where Charles
I
Mills Lake
actually,
was a reservoir in Ohio, and it looks
huh.
like it's located. Oh wow. Okay. So that's like northern central northern
Ooh,
Ohio area.
I
So in
actually think
between, I actually been through that way. I know I may have been to that reservoir. I just don't remember it. Um, but yeah, it's close to Ohio State Reformatory around Mansfield. I don't know if you know what's famous about that.
know what
That's
happened there.
that's where they filmed Shawshank Redemption.
Great movie. Great
Yep,
movie. Oh, and specifically, I remember when
extremely
I was
haunted
doing
too.
which one?
It's extremely haunted too.
Oh, well, that sounds like a whole other episode. A lot of the things we're talking about sounds like several episodes. However, like I remember I wanted to bring this up when I brought up or when I Googled the orange eyes, um, a lot of the images that I found would look like just a humanoid thing in nighttime with orange eyes, and the rest of them looked like a Bigfoot with orange eyes in
Yeah,
darkness.
so it could be just another Sasquatch type creature that had reflective eyes
Right.
and they were orange. Okay, fair enough.
Maybe a cat.
But yeah, reportedly seen near Charles Mills Lake, which is a reservoir, in 1960s near
Okay.
Mansfield, Ohio, and yeah. So another one, this one's more famously associated with Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The
Hmm.
Mothman has also been reported in Ohio, particularly the Gallipolis area, which is just right on the other side of the river from Point Pleasant. So Gallipolis did have its few sightings, but it's not really noted as much as the Point Pleasant stuff going on. And I mean, I highly recommend if you're listening here, go back to the Tinfoil Hat Society episode where we talked about the Mothman prophecies because we really got into digging into the UFOs and everything else on that. That's before we really started really digging into just cryptids in general. But there are sometimes, I said, we will talk about UFOs and cryptids because sometimes they do go hand in hand. You just can't help but tie the things together sometimes, and it's just fun
And
to
I,
talk
I
about.
was gonna bring that up because you know so much about that topic, because you actually researched it like in person. So, please go back if you're listening to this, go back and listen to that episode because Josh knows what he's talking about when it comes to that subject.
Yeah, been there a few times. Yeah, I was there before they erected that statue in town too, which is pretty
Oh,
cool.
it
I did
wasn't
find
there?
that picture. Did I send you that picture of me and Frodo?
Yes, yes, you
Did I
did.
send it to
Yeah.
you? Yeah, so that was one of my trips drive when I lived in South Carolina. I drove through,
Rest
and I
in
always
peace.
made sure I drove through Point Pleasant all the time. It was great.
That's
Anyway,
cool. I would
um,
definitely do the same thing.
so another one, this one had popped up, and this one I would like to just put a pin in this one to remember. I do want to research this one a little bit more because it was pretty interesting. But these something called the melon heads, and
And I wanted to bring I wanted to do I wanted to talk about this in a couple things, but yeah, bring it up and tell me what you think about it.
so this was okay. So it was in Kirtland, Ohio. Um, Apparently, these small humanoid creatures with large bulbous heads are said to inhabit the woods there. And they are often associated with eerie and unsettling encounters. Now, there's a few things I read a little bit, and I don't want to get into depth with it because we're just talking about an overview of Ohio cryptids, but they also said that these could be possibly residents of a former penitentiary or I'm sorry, mental institution or something.
Yeah,
Um,
because mental institutions, I don't remember, I can't remember when it was, and I can't remember what president got rid of or the whole thing, but at some point, mental institutions just went away, and then their
yeah.
people just
Then they
went
just
back to
released
their
everybody, right?
families. Yeah, it was
They did.
really it was, I don't that's a whole other episode because I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Session 9. That's what that
Oh
movie's
yeah,
about,
absolutely. Yeah.
and that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Oh
I saw
yeah.
that I even saw, I think it was, like, 20 when that movie came out.
Oh yeah. No, you
2021, that
you
movie's
totally
ju
were. You were like 20. Yeah, you're probably at 2021. Yeah, I remember when
yeah,
it came out.
it was a really good movie, and it scared me, and that's literally what that movie's about.
Yeah.
Um, and, um,
Yeah. Check that movie out.
when I was researching this, at first I was like, "Oh, this sounds like I texted you, I was like, "Oh, this sounds like, the Halloween movie where it's like the season of the witch with the mask," and then I Google it even more, and I'm like, "Oh, this sounds way more like, uh, Camp
Uh,
Crystal Lake,"
yeah.
because when you look at the pictures of it, it don't look good. It don't look
No.
good, man.
Nah. But yeah, definitely. Melonheads was on the list, which was intriguing. I had not heard of that until now, and reading into it, I'm like, I got really interested in that one. The last one I had was the Dogman. Similar to werewolf legends, the Dogman is described as a large bipedal canine creature, and they've been reported in various sites of Ohio. Yeah,
When we researched our our other episode about the Beast of Bray Road,
yeah,
when we were researching that, I read a lot about the Dogman that referenced the Dogman when it was talking about the Beast of Bray Road, and then it specifically said that the Dogman was in Michigan. More sightings were in southern portions of Michigan, um, and some people accounted that the Beast of Bray Road might have been the Dogman of southern Michigan, and there was a lot of mixed folklore in that.
yeah.
Um,
You,
and I
you
was
almost
gonna
think
ask
there's a
you about
secret
that.
war between Dogman and Bigfoot. I don't know. I- It's, it's almost like
Oh,
Underworld, but not no vampires. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know, but no,
sure.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, but I mean, back to the Frogman. I just wanted to finish off by saying that if you're traveling through the area, stop off in Loveland. They obviously embrace the history and folklore of this cryptid. So stop in, buy a T-shirt somewhere that's selling them, and fill up your gas tank, grab a bite to eat, and just check it out. Probably be worth a stop. So maybe next time I'm through, I'll make sure I do. Usually I do stop through these places, but I couldn't do it this time, unfortunately. But
Well, if we're
uh,
about to close out this episode, is that what we're about to do, Josh?
yeah,
Then I think it's time for me to ask you questions you didn't know I was about to ask you.
all right,
The
since you
first
like doing
one
this.
I was about to ask you is maybe it's aliens. Maybe the Loveland Frogman, maybe they saw a bunch of aliens that were walking around at night because there was a very low light and they just saw them just doing their alien stuff and they thought it was a frog.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, sure. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
4 foot tall fits the descriptions. And also, a lot of what I read too is they're actually fairly gentle. They're non-violent. So, I mean, like just chilling.
Everything I read said that the Loveman Frogman was literally not violent. That's everything that I read. You're right.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the other question I was gonna ask you is my favorite question, is, if you had a frogman sidekick, what would his superpower be, and what would his superhero name be? Um, if he was your superpower companion slash sidekick.
Oh wow. Yeah, man. What would his power be? Well, I mean, it has to be something with his tongue. That only makes sense. Like super tongue. You know, just knock people out with his tongue from far distances.
Oh, like that X-Men? What is it? What is it?
Oh,
I think his
Toad.
name's Toad. Yeah.
Yeah, Toad. Ray Park played him. That
Mhm.
was the guy that was Darth
Yes,
Maul.
he did. He played Darth Maul.
Yeah, met him in Plano when I lived here before, which is interesting. Anyway,
Hmm.
didn't get his autograph, so I don't have any proof, but I did.
Ooh, wow.
Um, yeah. yeah, people getting Toad 8x10 sign instead of Darth Maul what threw me off. But yeah, that was a good power. You know, be able to stick to walls and stuff. It'd be cool. You can get in and just kind of, I don't know. I don't know what I call them though. Maybe like licky,
Licky.
licky. I don't know. It's not something I think
Well,
about every day. What would I name my sidekick Frogman? I don't know. Froggy. No, that's just like what a kid would name their dog. I would name my kid Doggy. You know.
oh, and lastly, I wanted to say, maybe these alien frogmen came through a portal because I just wanted to throw that out there. Do
Yeah,
I
it's
think
fun
that
when
actually happened? No. And what I really wanted to say is like, where are the bones and what all of this? I'm pretty sure the Loveland frogman was just a really big frog or iguana or something
yeah.
that somebody saw a bigger shadow of some sort of reptilian looking thing and didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I mean the sightings are very few, but it is the story that has lasted. It's a fun story and everything, but yeah, I mean it's there's really no actual proof other than sightings, and unfortunately that doesn't get you validation in this day and age. So yeah, yeah, the Frogman.
From Loveland, Ohio.
Yep, yep,
And our resident cryptozoologist from the grand state of Ohio just gave you everything you need to know about cryptids from Ohio.
yep. Or you can just look it up yourself. All right. Well, we're gonna get this thing up and running, and thank you for listening. If you made it this far, make sure you follow us on Spotify as well as the well, there are other things where you can find us floating around. And now I don't even know where we're all at now, but we are loading up on other spots, other platforms. You can follow us on X, and that's pretty much where you
And
can
now
find
on
us.
Rumble
Oh,
too,
we're also
by
on
the way.
Rumble on YouTube. Yeah, we have channels on there now, so check those out. Subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. But yeah, we're really pushing the Spotify. I'm really pushing the Spotify. So if you can get on there and just give us a like, subscribe, comment, if you will, uh, whether you like it or
And
not,
please,
it just
like,
helps.
Josh keeps bringing up to me that nobody is subscribing, and normally I wouldn't push this, but like, it really feeds the algorithm. And if you like us, please subscribe. I know just listening is cool. We are completely self funded. So subscribing helps us help the algorithm get it out to more people because we're really just trying to get this word out to all the people so they all know the truth.
And you hear our shows, we're just chilling and talking about these random topics that we come up with, and you know, cryptids are like the main topic, but we also like to get into other things, especially pop culture, which makes it a lot of fun, I feel. And you can also go back in our past episodes as well. So subscribe, go through, listen to all of them if you can. We try to keep them short, so they're if you had a 30-40 minute commute, you could just pop it in, listen in the car. So it makes it fun.
And before I go, I just wanted to bring up that the uh podcast West of Nowhere keeps shouting us out, and I would like to shout out them. West of Nowhere with a K.
All right, thanks. Yeah,
Thank you for everybody that came and that you've gotten this long, and stand by to stand by. And God bless America.
God bless America.